Yes, can someone please read the title of the passage that we're going to take today? Just read the title. ثالث. Hello, can someone read the title please?
teacher المحطوط على الشاشة ولا من الكتاب نفسه؟
It's the same, yes, but you can read the one that we have here.
Do men and women speak the same language?
Thank you so much. Do men and women speak the same language? This is what we're going to read about today. So let's start. I need you please to listen and pay attention to the questions that we have. Please, I need you to participate.
Pages 88 and 89. 8. Reading.
Do men and women speak the same language? The difference in the ways that men and women communicate has been the subject of countless books, magazine articles, talk show discussions, and jokes. These differences can sometimes make men and women seem mysterious to each other and can occasionally make communication difficult and confusing. People often jokingly say that men and women are from different planets, or that they are different species. But just what are these communication differences, and what is their cause? One basic reason men and women have such different ways of communicating is that they see the purpose of communication differently. Research shows that women use communication as a way of growing closer to people and establishing intimate relationships. Women tend to use language to share thoughts and feelings and to be supportive. Meanwhile, men tend to see the goal of communication as accomplishing a task. Men most often use language to persuade, argue, convey facts, and demonstrate knowledge.
Okay, let's stop here. We have read now the first two paragraphs. The question is, what do women see as the purpose? Purpose means the goal or the aim of communication. And what about men? Now, what do women see as the purpose of communication? Why do they communicate? It's written. You will find the answer here. The purpose يعني الهدف. So what do women see as the purpose of communication? It's an easy question, Thalith.
Definitely.
Yes, Rima, say it again, please.
Definitely.
No, I'm asking about why do they communicate? Yani, women, us, when we communicate, why? Because we want what? Or it's a way of what? Thalith, it's an easy question. It's written. You will find the answer here in the second paragraph in your book. Yes, Thalith.
Because the reason men and women have such a different ways.
Of communicating is that they see the purpose of communicating or communication differently. Women see the purpose of communication is different from men. So the research shows what? That women what? Use communication as a way? They use it as a way of what?
Communication.
Yes, of communication and growing closer to people. Very good. Thank you, Rima. Thank you, Rahaf. growing closer to people, and establishing intimate relationships. You see us when we talk with our friends, when we talk with our family, with sister, when we talk with them, we want what to, it's a way that we want to be closer with each other, right? Like, what about men? When they talk or when they communicate, what is the purpose? They also talk as a way of growing closer to people? No. Hmm. Men tend to see the goal of communication is what? As what? As accomplishing a task. يعني كأنه a task, something that they have to do and then they do it. They think that if I have to speak now, I'm going to speak now. Otherwise, I'm not going to. But for us, no. If we feel that the person needs to be listened, we go to listen to them, we go talk to them. Okay? So we think about it as emotional thing. But for men, no, they do it as a task. Okay? Let's continue.
Although men do not tend to use communication to achieve closeness, they have their own way of bonding. In one study, 75% of the men surveyed said that their most meaningful experiences with friends came not through talking, but through shared activities. In a related study, researchers found that fathers tend to show affection to sons by helping them with tasks and challenges. Javier Morales' experiences certainly support this idea. Says Morales, "My dad and I are really close, but I wouldn't say we talk very much. We spend a lot of time together doing things. We spent all of last Saturday repairing my car, and this week we're going hiking together. My dad and I have a deep bond. Just because we're not talking doesn't mean we're not sharing important time together."
So, how are men most likely to bond with others? Bond يعني إنه يقتربوا يكون في relationship. How do men most likely bond with others? Like the father here, he said that he and his father, they don't talk very much, but they are very close, and they have what? A deep bond. Though they don't talk very much, but because they do what? Things together. They repair the car. Yes, through activities. Very good, Rahaf. So it's written here. You have to be able يا ثالث to find the answer whenever you read a passage. في اختبار النهائي سيكون هناك قطعة. You're going to find an answer. So you have to be able to do that. So how are men most likely to bond with others? Through shared activities. Not through talking, through shared activities. Like the man here and his dad. They repair the car, they go hiking, but they don't talk very much. But as they do that, they think that they are close to each other. Okay? Okay, let's continue.
The content of what males and females talk about tends to be different as well. Researcher Deborah Tannen has found that while feminine talk tends to focus on feelings, relationships, and people, masculine talk tends to focus on sports, the economy, and facts. Women talk to explore problems, but men do not. Instead, men talk to fix problems. This can sometimes cause problems in communication. Janet West, a freshman in college, remembers encountering this issue recently. "I told my brother Derek about a problem I was having with my studies. He immediately came up with possible solutions to the problem. Being told how to fix the problem was kind of frustrating because it wasn't what I was looking for. I asked him to stop trying to fix the problem and try talking with me about it instead. He seemed completely confused and said, 'Why bother talking about a problem unless you're trying to find a solution to it?'" Another
You see, here there's a difference. Because this woman, Janet, she said that she was coming to her brother to ask him about a problem. What did the brother do? He find a solution for the problem, though she just want to talk about the problem, to talk about her feelings, right? Okay, how does the content of men and women's talk tend to differ? Content يعني المحتوى. Okay, tend to differ إنه يكون مختلفين. So how does the content of men and women's talk tend to differ? Of course, when women talk, they talk about different things, and when men talk, they talk about different things. But according to this paragraph, the content of women is what? I'm asking easy questions, Thalith. Mhm.
Talk tends to focus on feelings,
Yes, tend to focus on feelings. This is women. Feelings and
relationships,
relationships, people and people. Okay, what about men?
focus on sports, the economy,
Yes.
and facts.
Masculine talk. Remember the word that we took yesterday when we have to match? Masculine talk tend to focus on sport, the economy, and facts. Masculine يعني related to who?
Men,
Yes,
boys.
to men. Thank you so much, Ragad. Thank you, Rahaf. Okay, the next question. How do women and men approach problems differently? I already said the answer. Women, when you came to them with a problem, what they do?
They just want to talk about it.
Yes, they just want to talk about it. What about men?
They want to find a solution.
Yes, they just want to find a solution. They just want to fix the problems. This is for men. But for women, they explore problems. It means they talk about it more and more without fixing them. Okay, right. Let's move on.
Another way in which men and women differ is in the way they listen. Research has shown that men tend to place all of their attention on one thing at a time, but women do not. Instead, women commonly divide their attention between a number of things at once and make connections between these different things. Since this comes so easily to women, they are sometimes frustrated when men struggle to do this. For example, a common complaint among women is that when a man is watching television, he often doesn't hear a question asked by the person sitting right beside him. Sakura Kumi has witnessed this many times in her house. Sakura says, "My mother used to get so frustrated trying to get my father's attention while he was watching TV, and I did too. So she got into the habit of standing in front of the TV and saying, 'Hiroshi, I'm about to ask you a question.' It's become sort of a family joke." Research has shown that these communication differences can be partially explained by the different ways in which the male and female brains are structured and wired. For example, the left side of the brain, where logic and literal thinking are processed, tends to be stronger in men. Meanwhile, women tend to think with the right side, which is where comprehension is processed. The female brain also has more connections between the right and left sides, so their thought process is likely to be more complex. Research has also shown that the different ways that boys and girls are raised has a significant impact on how they communicate. Girls are raised to recognize and be sensitive to the feelings of others. On the other hand, boys are taught to be more direct and goal-oriented. Being raised in such different ways is bound to create two different styles of communication. While the differences in the way men and women communicate can sometimes cause confusion, these differences are also what help maintain a balance in communication. It ensures that a variety of topics and viewpoints are explored, feelings are expressed, and problems are discussed and solved. This balance is what makes communication so rich and interesting.
Okay, so the last question here. What causes men and women to communicate differently? What is the reason that men communicate in a way and women communicate in a different way? Yes, very good, Rafif, that men tend to place all of their attention in one thing only, while us as women, we can do many things, right?
On the way they were raised.
Yes, it's the reason that the way they,
Were raised.
yes, the way they are raised, you see? So research has also shown that the different ways that boys and girls are raised has a significant impact on how they communicate. Okay, so what about girls? Girls are what? Raised in what? Hmm?
To recognize and be sensitive to the
Yes,
feelings of others.
yes. Girls are raised to recognize and be sensitive to the feelings of others, while boys what? Hmm? Hmm? Boys what? How Khalid? The answer is here. No. We said that girls are raised to have to be what? To be sensitive to the feelings of others. What about boys? Do you think that they are sensitive to the feeling of others?
No, they're taught to be more direct and goal
Very good.
or I don't know what's that word.
Oriented, yes. The boys are taught to be more direct and goal oriented. For us, we talk about problems, but we don't solve them. For men, no. They talk about, they always give you the solution. They always fix the problems. For us, we would like to say, if you come up to your friend with a problem, do you think that she will give you the solution immediately? No. She will ask you, are you okay? And she will feel what? She will tell you that's frustrating, that's bad. You see? Okay. Thank you, Miss Mona. Okay, do you have any question, Thalith?
No, thank you.
You're welcome,
Nothing.
honey. You're welcome. I think today's passage was very nice. I really like it. Okay, okay. I need you now to move on to the book on page. Okay, here, page 90. I need you to move on to page 90. Okay, here we have the writing. In this writing, we're going to ask here questions. How do we communicate? Do we mostly communicate through verbal or non-verbal language? Do you know the meaning of verbal language and non-verbal language? Hmm?
No.
Can you guess what is the verbal language? Hmm? You can search for the meaning. What is a verbal language? Hmm? What I'm doing now, I'm using a verbal language. But when I do this is non-verbal language, which is clapping. Mhm. Verbal language is the language that we use to talk. Non-verbal language is maybe the body language and anything related to it. Okay? Now, in this thing, what you're going to do is that here, try communicating this to your partner without speaking. Can I have your pen, please? Are you going to call me after school? I went shopping yesterday. It would be very fun in class. Is that you're going to ask your friend for a pen without speaking, you see? You're going also to ask your friend, are you going to call me after school? Also without speaking. And I went shopping yesterday. You're going to tell your friend that without speaking. It would be fun to see how we're going to do non-verbal language. Okay? But I need you now to listen to this paragraph, to this passage, and we will see.
Page 90. 10. Writing.
Verbal and nonverbal communication. When people talk about communication, the first thing that comes to mind is words or language. Language is our primary means of communication as human beings, which sets us apart from other species. However, as studies have shown, it is not the only means of communication. Think about a photograph taken in the center of a town. It provides information about the buildings, stores and services, people and cars, plants, and all kinds of details if you choose to take the time to look at it more carefully. Now try describing the picture and everything you have identified in it to your friend, or write about it. How long do you think it's going to take you? Certainly a lot longer than it takes a photo to convey the same amount of information. Suppose that you have just acquired the latest electronic gadget. Would you choose to tell your friend about it or show it to him or her? Usually, we choose to do the latter, i.e., show it to somebody and point out all the new amazing features. In other words, pictures and objects can speak for themselves more efficiently and effectively than we can through verbal language. However, there are situations where a different type of interaction is required, when, for example, you run into somebody you have not seen for some time. You probably want to talk about everything that has happened, ask him or her questions, and talk about people you know, and so on. This is definitely a case that requires verbal language. On a partly different note, you see a friend you have not seen for some time at a distance. For example, different escalators at the airport leading to different lounges. You have both checked through security and cannot go back, and you certainly don't want to start shouting across the airport building. You want to get his or her cell phone number. You probably resort to gesturing by holding your hand next to your ear and pretending to talk. You point to the phone, point to your friend, and use a hand gesture to signal what, pointing back to the imaginary phone. Your friend signals each number by holding up the appropriate number of fingers. In other words, although language is important and allows us to communicate facts, feelings, thoughts, experiences, and practically everything and anything that we are interested in, it is not the only way we communicate with each other. As studies have shown, about 60% of human communication is carried out through nonverbal means, for example, facial expression, gestures, or illustration. Maybe we should keep this in mind when we are at a loss for words. Our eyes and overall expression can convey what we cannot express through words.
Okay, this was a very nice passage. It's about nonverbal and verbal communicating. Though we use what? We use verbal communicating in everything, feeling, facts, anything. Okay? But also nonverbal communicating is very good. You see, when they talked about the picture, if you take a picture, the picture express everything. When you look at the picture, you can see and you can think with yourself that this man is doing this and this woman express this. But if you want to talk about the pictures, you're going to talk more than what the picture shows. Okay, in this writing here, what you're going to do, think of an Arab man or woman and a non-Arab man or woman you know personally or from TV. Think about the way these people communicate, research, and collect information about culture-specific features of communication. Do you think that they communicate in a way that this is typical of their culture? Write your idea in a chart. Write an essay about the communicating approach used by each person. Give examples and support your idea. You're going to see if there is an Arab man that you know or a woman, Arab woman, and non-Arab woman. I think you can find from celebrities and you can tell. if you find a non-Arab woman who's a celebrity and an Arab woman who's a celebrity, you can tell how they communicate or differently. Okay. So here you're going to write culture specific communication features. كلنا نعرف إنه communication features it's sometimes related to cultures. في مثلا gestures that we do with our hands, if you do it in another country, it would be very bad. But in Arab countries, no, it's okay. So here you're going to write their names and you're going to tell if there is a difference between communication features in this Arab person and in the non-Arab person, and the communication features that are not culture specific in Arab person and non-Arab person. I will make this homework as an option. If you want to do it, then it's okay. If you don't, then also it's okay. Okay? لأنه إلى الآن لم أحدد لكم في الاختبار النهائي كيف ما هو الرايتنج الذي سيكون معكم. Okay?
Okay.
Do you have any question?
No, thank
No,
you.
thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, just let me take the attendance.